So I have, that's there, I've got my sub, my soda, and in front of me there's impulse buy items. A rack of candy bars. Now this is before the remake of the movie, so keep that in mind. I didn't think these really existed, but when I was a kid, there's this movie that I watched all the time, you know, it had an impact on my life, all that. I looked down, and right in front of me was a Wonka bar. All this is true. I'm going to start betting the truth in a second, but believe it or not, this is all true. So I grabbed the Wonka bar, thinking golden ticket, and I set it down, and I've got my sub, my Wonka bar, and my soda. This is what I had for lunch every day. I ended up putting weight on and supposed to take weight off. So, sub, candy bar, soda. Up to this point, that's 100% true. Now I'm going to bend the truth a little bit. So I go back to the convention center, and I sit down at the table. This part's kind of true. And everyone looks at me with, like they want to kill me, because they don't have cars. So they had no way of going anywhere. So I opened my sub sandwich up, and I've got my soda, which they didn't have anything like that there, right? And they're just like looking at me. And I remember what they had for lunch that day. You know, if you go to like those truck stops in the middle of nowhere where they have the hot dogs on those things that turn, and they're so dried out that they don't really turn because they're all wrinkled, that's what they had to eat. And here I was with my sub sandwich, my soda, my Wonka bar. So okay, so up to that point it's true. Now, at my table, there's 3 people. So I eat my sandwich, drink my soda, unwrap the Wonka bar, no golden ticket, and I look at them and they all have these real sad puppy dog eyes because they want some of my chocolate. This is made up. And so I feel guilty. So there's 4 of us, right? 3 of them, 1 of me, 4 of us. So I decide to equally share my candy bar. So to have 4 pieces, I have to break it in 3 places to get 4 equal pieces of chocolate. So this top line, yeah, I know it's green, but that's the Wonka bar. And I broke it there, there, and there. Let me move this down a little bit. All right, so I broke it here, here, and here. So each piece of chocolate is 25% of the chocolate. These lines are my quartiles. So this is Q1, Q2, and Q3. Each quartile separates out 25% of the scores. So the quartiles are 3 values that divide, in the case of data, when we're talking not candy bars, divide ranked data. So from largest to small, from smallest to largest, divide into 4 equal groups, each containing 25% of the scores. All right. So Q1, 25% of the scores are less than Q1. 50% of the scores are less than Q2. 75% of the scores are less than Q3. So the next day, this part's true. I go, I get my sub sandwich, I get my soda, I get my Wonka bar. I go, I sit. Rumors have spread. So now there's 9 people sitting at my table. So they all do the puppy dog eye thing. So I feel guilty. So now, including me, there's 10 of us. So I break my candy bar in 9 places, generating 10 pieces of chocolate. So I break it in 9 places. Each piece of chocolate is 10% of the candy bar. These are my 9 deciles, D1 through D9. Each one separates out 10% of the scores. So D1 is greater than 10% of the scores. D2 is greater than 20%. D3 is greater than 30%, and so on. So that means that Q2, which is greater than 50%, is the same as D5, which is also greater than 50%. Those are the only 2 quartiles, the only 2 quartile and deciles that are the same, Q2 and D5. So being the entrepreneur that I am and figuring out that everyone is like massively hating me, I let it out, this part's true, that I will, for a charge of $10, because the sub costs $6, I will take orders for sub sandwiches. That's all it includes. If you want a soda, that's extra. So for $10, I will go get your sub sandwich for you. Literally, I would go in and have this huge order, and I'd give it to them, and they'd make them all up. I mean, I had to like double this store's income for like the month for one order. So I would go in, and I remember one guy's like, wait, $10 and you don't give me anything back? It goes towards gas, right? So I ended up making like, after tax and everything, like $3 for each sub sandwich. And I was averaging around 10 people per day. So I was making like $30 a day to go pick up these sub sandwiches for these people. It was awesome. All right, so I go next day, I go get my sub sandwich, I get my soda, I get my Wonka bar, and I sit down at a very large table. And there's 99 people at the table. Now, even though there was 80 people there, it must have been employees or something, right? I'm making this part up. So there's 99 people sitting at the table and myself. I eat my sub sandwich, I drink my soda, I open my Wonka bar up, still no golden ticket, and all the puppy dog eyes, little sad faces. So I'm like, oh God. So 100 of us, I break the candy bar in 99 places to make 100 equal pieces of chocolate that are all 1% in size. However, I tried to put that on here, but Word, which is the program that I did this with, wouldn't let me generate a table with 100 columns. So imagine that there's one of these across here with 100 little boxes. The lines are my 99 percentiles, P1 through P99. So P15 is greater than 15% of the scores. P50 is greater than 50% of the scores, and so on. So you can see what I have down here is a way of converting from percentiles to quartiles to deciles. So D1 is the same as P10. D2 is the same as P20. Q1 is the same as P25. P50, Q2, and D5 are all the same. So you can see how they're related. All right. So what type of questions can we be asked about these percentiles and quartiles and deciles? There's two general types of questions. The first one is this. You have a score or an X value, and you want to know which box, in other words, which percentile does it fall into? So this, if this line is, say P50, then the box that's attached to it, any score that falls in there is in the 50th percentile, basically. So what they want to know, if this score, what box does it fall in? It's a slight bend of what it's really doing, but for you guys, it's the easiest way to understand it. So I have an X, I want to know the percentile. That's the first type of question. That is easy, not very difficult to do. The second type of question is this. What is the exact value of this line? So in other words, I have a percentile, and I want to know what the exact value of X is for that line, for that percentile. So one goes from X to P of the percentile, one goes from the percentile to an X value. All right, so let's take a look at those. So type 1, question type 1. What percentile does a score fall into? So we have an X, we want to know what the P sub K is. K is the number, so like the 10th percentile, K would be 10. This is all we do. The number of scores less than X, so we count them, divided by the total number of scores times 100. All right, so let's do one. It'll make a lot more sense when we do it.